Water, Corruption and Fraud, Public Sector, including organs of state media briefing, which is going to be led by the Chairperson.
Painting a dire picture of the conditions of health.
Good afternoon to Mr. Nombembe, the head of the investigation team. Good afternoon to Professor Musala, the secretary of the commission. I understand Mr. Pretorius might not be here, the head of the legal team. Good morning, good afternoon also to other members of the commission staff who might be here. Thank you for coming to this media briefing. I thought that the public would appreciate an update on the work of the Commission as we complete the last calendar year before the Commission finishes its work. And I will update the public on the work of the Commission, and after I've finished that, I will give the media an opportunity to ask questions, and will respond to those questions. As everybody should remember, the public hearings of the Commission began in August 2018. Since then, the Commission has carried on with its public hearings up to now. While the hearings were going on, the investigation team was continuing with its investigations, and the legal team were busy also with the presentation of the evidence in regard to various work streams. You will recall that the Commission has got various work streams. It has the ESCOM work stream, the Transnet work stream, the Law Enforcement Agency work stream. It's got the Denel work stream. It's got the aviation work stream, which includes SAA and SAAT. It's got other matters relating to the dismissal of ministers and other officials, and the appointment of certain ministers and the appointment of certain officials in certain positions that it has been looking into. Its terms of reference are very wide, but as you will remember, last year, when we applied to the High Court for the extension of the lifespan of the Commission, we indicated that we were going to focus on what we call the public protector issues in order to make sure that we could finish the work of the Commission within the time that had been given to us. And therefore, we would not be pursuing all investigations relating to the very wide terms of reference that we have. But obviously, we would make a recommendation that matters that the Commission has not been able to cover, that they be dealt with by other agencies or by another forum. So at this stage, I want to give a few statistics which show the work that has been done by the Commission. From August 2018 up to now, the Commission has had 278 witnesses. The transcript of evidence that has been recorded that the Commission has generated goes up to 51,669 pages of the transcript of evidence that has been led. The number of pages in terms of affidavits and other exhibits that have been placed before the Commission go up to 159,109. And the number of days that the Commission has there was some echo. I hope that's sorted out.
You can continue, sir.
Yes, the number of days that the Commission has set hearing oral evidence is 323 days. The number of Rule 33 notices, just to remind everybody, Rule 33 notices are notices that the Commission issues to persons who are implicated by certain witnesses or who may be said to be implicated by those witnesses. The number of Rule 33 notices that have been issued so far is 2,330. And the number of summonses that have been issued so far is 2,736. Those are some of the statistics that I thought I would mention just to indicate the size of the work that has been done by the Commission. When one looks at various work streams of the Commission's work, one will see that we have done quite a lot of work. With regard, for example, to SABC, we have finished all the evidence that needed to be done to be led in regard to SABC, except maybe one or two witnesses. That is evidence that that's relevant to our terms of reference. Maybe we left with one or two witnesses. With regard to Transnet, we have, I've had almost all the evidence. There are only a few witnesses that are left to be led. Some of them are prominent ones, but it's a few witnesses that are left. When it comes to ESCOM, we still have quite some evidence to hear in regard to ESCOM, but a lot of the remaining evidence relating to ESCOM will be heard during the week starting the 11th of January. That whole week has been set aside for evidence relating to ESCOM. Members of the media will remember that a lot of evidence relating to ESCOM has been led. Some of it was led last year in what we called phase 1. A lot of evidence has been led also in the past few months or weeks relating to the suspension of executives. The evidence that will be led in the week starting the 11th of January will mainly relate to certain transactions that need to be looked into that were concluded in ESCOM. So, but once we have had all the evidence that is scheduled for that week, namely the week starting the 11th of January, in relation to ESCOM, we probably may be left with one or two witnesses only to complete the ESCOM evidence. With regard to Denel, all the evidence that needed to be led in regard to Denel has been led. There is only one witness who needs to complete his evidence. It might be necessary to call another witness who is common to various work streams, but for all intents and purposes in regard to Denel also, we are done. What is left is one or two witnesses. With regard to SAA, all the evidence also has been led in regard to SAA. There might be some evidence to complete in regard to one witness who has given evidence, or one or two others, but really for all intents and purposes, the evidence relating to SAA has been completed. In regard to SAAT, I think there is, we have one or two witnesses who need to complete their evidence. So that work stream too is almost complete. With regard to the offers which were referred to in the terms of reference, offers that were allegedly made to Mr. Jonas, the evidence relating to that also has been led and completed. And the evidence relating to offer that was allegedly made to Ms. Mentor was led a long time ago and was completed. There may be, of course, in those cases where I say evidence has been completed, there may be one or two witnesses who need to be re-examined or who need to be asked certain questions, but for all intents and purposes, evidence in regard to such work streams has been completed. With regard to the months ahead, namely January, February, and March, as you recall, as things stand, the Commission's lifespan goes up to the end of March. During January and February, we will be hearing oral evidence. I've already said that during the week starting the 11th of January, I will hear evidence relating to ESCOM. In the week that comes after that, namely the week starting the 18th of January, as many of you know, I have scheduled that week for the evidence of Mr. Zuma. And in the week that comes after that, that is the last week of January, I will hear evidence relating to SSA. And in the first week of February, I will hear evidence relating to parliamentary oversight, unless that changes. But as things stand, I will hear evidence relating to parliamentary oversight during that first week of February. At some stage before we finish the hearing of oral evidence of the Commission, I will also hear evidence from President Ramaphosa, and I will hear evidence relating to from the ANC. Those dates have not been determined, but those dates will be determined in due course. But during the parliamentary oversight week, the ANC might give evidence, but it may be that it might come later and not during that week in regard to certain matters that relate to parliamentary oversight. So going forward, January and March, that is what is going to happen. Now, you will recall that when the national lockdown was instituted, we did not have public hearings. We could not have public hearings. We were not allowed to have public hearings. So for a period of 3 months, we did not have public hearings, and that interfered with our plans. Our estimation, after the High Court had granted us an extension up to the end of March, our estimation was that we would have finished with the hearing of oral evidence by the end of this year, so that the 3 months, January, February, March, would be taken by the writing of the report. But with the national lockdown interfering with the public hearings, we have to find 3 months somewhere. as a result of that, we are going to apply to the High Court for the extension of the lifespan of the Commission from the end of March to the end of June. Exactly 3 months. So all we want is just to regain the 3 months that we lost as a result of the national lockdown. We think that that will be enough, and we think that had there not been a national lockdown, we would have completed oral evidence by this time, and we would be going into the new year with simply the preparation of the report. But I do want to say that we are not waiting for the completion of oral evidence with regard to the certain work that needs to be done in order to facilitate the preparation of the report. Work has been done and continues to be done to summarize evidence that has been had in regard to various work streams. That's ongoing work. Some in regard to some work streams, to a very large extent, those summaries are done. But of course, there will be an opportunity that will be given to persons who are implicated to make representations if they want to make representations or to file written submissions in order to present their argument as to what I should find with regard to evidence that may have implicated them that comes from certain witnesses. So that opportunity will be there. So all of that will be taken care of within the time that we believe we will have once there has been an extension. But to a very large extent, the months of April, May, and June would be used for the preparation of the report. All oral evidence, we are doing the best we can to make sure that all oral evidence should be completed either in February, or if we go into March, March should be the last month. But in the meantime, as I say, a lot of work will have been done to try and ensure that when the time for the preparation of the report comes, the preparation of the report is facilitated by the work that will have been done up to that stage. I have to touch on a matter relating to the expenditure of the Commission, because quite often people talk about the money that has been spent on the work of the Commission. I have always said that when people look at the money that has been spent on the work of the Commission, they need to remember the fact that the terms of reference of the Commission are very wide, number one. Number two, they also need to remember that this is a very important Commission. Its work needs to be done properly. And also that the various work streams, as I recently said in another interview, you know, could be the subject of a commission on their own. You know, if you look at Transnet, you look at ESCOM, you look at SAA. You know, we had a commission for the PIC earlier this year, or was it last year? The PIC. You could easily have a commission that looked at each one of those SOEs, but this commission encompasses all those SOEs in terms of the work that it must look at. But I want to emphasize that the work that was done by the Commission in securing and undertaking from McKinsey recently, that McKinsey will repay 650 million rand that of fees that had been paid to it by Transnet and SAA was quite an important development. We may have spent about 700 million rand for our work now. It may be that now it's about maybe close to 800 million. But if through what one of the units of the commission did, the money flows unit, supported by various members of the legal team and various members of the investigation team, they approached McKinsey and said, look at the evidence that we will lead, which shows what happened. And as a result of the discussions that ensued, McKinsey undertook to repay that money. So already through those efforts, quite a large portion of the money that has been spent on this commission will be repaid through that. So that should be emphasized. But I've also emphasized in the past that it is very important that this investigation that is done by the commission be done so that we can make sure as a country that nobody thinks that they can engage in the kinds of things that I've heard about in evidence and there will be no consequences. It is important that the whole country and the world should know that if there are allegations such as the allegations that I've heard, they will be investigated, and if they are found to be well-founded, there will be consequences in terms of our criminal law and other measures that can be taken. So basically, those are the matters that I wanted to update the public on, namely that in terms of various SOEs, we have done a lot of work. We have either completed the oral evidence that needed to be done, or whatever is left is a few witnesses, and that we will need to apply to court for the extension of the lifespan of the commission, just so that we can finish whatever is left. I'm satisfied that we are going to finish within the time that we are talking about if the High Court grants us the extension that we are going to ask for. I also want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the team that keeps this commission going. The legal team, the investigation team, the secretary and the secretariat, all the staff members. I just want to thank all of them for their dedication, for their commitment to the work of the commission. Very often, all of them have to work extra hours, have to work over weekends in order to try and make sure that the work of the commission goes on and that that work is done properly. Indeed, in the case of the legal team and the investigation team, there have been times where they've had to do a lot of work on risk, which means they were not guaranteed fees. But because of their commitment to the work of the commission, because of their realization or appreciation of the importance of the work of the commission to the nation, they've given a lot of their time to assist and do the work of the commission. I know that with regard to the investigation team, there are many investigators who have done a lot of work without charging. And I know that there have been times where they have to charge less. When it comes to the legal team, I know that they have had to implement discounts in order to make sure on their fees, in order to make sure that the work of the commission continues, because there have been challenges with regard to funds for the commission. But I want to thank all of them for the work that they have been doing. The commission wouldn't have done as much as it has if it was not for the dedication of all of these men and women who have been working for the commission. Thank you very much. I will ask Mr. Nombembe, if he wishes to say anything. I see Mr. Paul Pretorius has joined us. Mr. Pretorius, if he wishes to say anything, and Professor Musala, if he wishes to say anything. But if they don't wish to say anything, I will then go into a question and answer session to enable the media to ask questions. Mr. Nombembe?
Thank you very much, DCJ, and to the members of the media and colleagues. If I may, DCJ, take the opportunity you have granted just to say a few words that will complement the message that you have shared with the public. From the investigation side, I just want to add and emphasize that indeed the bulk of the work that you had expected us to undertake has been undertaken with a great deal of professionalism, due care, and dedication. And the results that have come out of the public process of the Commission, without a doubt, has been as a result of that dedicated work from the multitudes of colleagues in the investigation unit. Without a doubt, working collaboratively with the work of the legal team and the work of the Secretariat, without which the matters that the public hears will not be done with the level of excellence that the public has been accustomed to. Yes, the matters to be investigated, none of them were easy. They had meant that we go into extra lengths to make sure that we make every effort to gather the evidence that will make sure that not only does the public hear what happened, but when these matters get handed over to other agencies, DCJ, I would imagine with your guidance, those matters will truly create an opportunity for legal effort for those agencies to pick up that piece and complete their part of the work. So that's what I can say. I'm pleased with your guidance, DCJ. Sponsor of the investigation team, led by and guided by the legal team to make sure thanks very much, DCJ, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Pretorius, do you want to say something?
Thanks, Chair. It's all been covered. I don't have anything to add at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Musala, do you have anything? Prof. Musala, do you have anything that you would like to say?
DCJ, just one point, just to support what you said in your presentation. I think that the public and the nation needs to know that not only will there be a report at the end of the work of the Commission, but that report will be supported, as you've said earlier on, by 51,000 pages of transcripts of evidence that the people of South Africa came forth to provide for you to be able to do this work. But that is not all that the nation will inherit from the Commission. The size of data and evidence on corruption, fraud, and state capture that no other state has been able to collect and store in the manner in which the Commission has done. We have something in the order of a billion gigabyte of data on corruption and fraud that has been collected in that time, and the government and the state and the people of South Africa will be able to move into the future with that legacy that they can support policy with, and strategies can be developed to make sure that this never happens again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. So at this stage, Reverend Stemela, I will let the members of the media pose questions if they would like to.
Thank you very much, DCJ. We're going to ask members of the media to just raise their hands here, and then I will note 2 hands at a time, and then the DCJ can answer those questions. I see that there is a hand from Gaupalelwi, and I'll ask members of the media to just introduce themselves, and then which media house they're coming from, and then they pose a question and try and make those questions crisp. Gaupalelwi and then Mshengu Shabalala will also follow that. Over to you, colleagues.
Did you indicate which one must start? I think you must indicate which one must start.
Yes, I did indicate Gaupalelwi starting, DCJ. Gaupalelwi? Okay. Gaupalelwi, can you hear us? Okay, we'll move to the next hand. Tumaule, please introduce yourself and then ask the question that you'd like to ask.
Thank you very much for that, Reverend Stemela. My name is Tumaule Mushaudi from Newsroom Africa. My question is just on the timelines for the extension. DCJ, how do you envision how much longer in terms of the extension period are you expecting to extend the Commission's investigations and probes into state capture? And secondly, in terms of the costs, we do know that the Commission and yourself have been very concerned about keeping the costs, low. You have said on numerous occasions that even during this period of unexpected coronavirus, resources being used by the Commission are appreciated because the work is also important. So in terms of that extension, in relation to it, how much more will the Commission be requesting in terms of funding to ensure that its work is done?
Well, in terms of actual funding, I don't have the actual figures, but it really will not be a lot, because as I indicated, the 3 months we are talking about in terms of the extension, April, May, and June, will be used basically for report writing. A lot of evidence will have been completed in February, and maybe if some goes into March, in March, but as things stand, there is no reason why any evidence should go beyond March. So there will not be a lot of investigative work that must still be done. The investigation team has largely completed the investigations. It is there now to support the legal team in the work that the legal team is doing. But of course, here and there, I could ask them, I do ask them to follow up on something that wasn't covered, and the legal team also does the same. So they are available to undertake those kind of investigations where something was not covered, which I think is important, or members of the legal team think are important. But other than that, largely the investigation team has finished its work, and what remains is for the legal team to present that evidence before the Commission in public hearings. So in terms of money, I don't expect that it will be a lot of money. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We'll now try Gaupalelwi. Happy, will you please try again, Gaupalelwi? Can you hear us? There seems to be a connection problem with Gaupalelwi. We'll move over to Fariel. Fariel, can you hear us?
I can, Rev. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You can continue. The chairperson is listening. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Judge Zondo. Thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to get your answer on why you think it's important for the former President Jacob Zuma to be heard, and what it will mean for the Commission if he's not heard in the 2 weeks of testimony that you've set aside. And if I may just ask one more, do you think that the voices of the victims of state capture have been sufficiently heard in the course of the Commission's work until the end of this year? Do you have plans to hear any more of their voices? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, when it comes to Mr. Zuma, to a very large extent, he has indicated that he is not keen to be heard because he doesn't believe that there are any witnesses who have implicated him. Insofar as the right to be heard is concerned, it's fine if he takes that attitude. But why we need him is more because the Commission needs to put questions to him on various issues arising out of evidence that has been given by various witnesses. If we didn't have questions for him and he didn't want to be heard, we may have left him alone. But the position is that there are witnesses who have given evidence that raise certain questions, and the Commission wishes to put those questions to him, and as to what his role may have been in various things and in regard to various transactions and matters. So that is quite important because he was the president of the country during most of the time when a lot of things that the Commission is investigating are alleged to have happened. And there are witnesses who allege that he played a certain role or certain roles in regard to certain matters. Now, it may be that if he indeed did play the roles that those witnesses say he played, it may be that he may be said to have abused his powers as president, but it's important that he be questioned with regard to those matters before any finding can be made on whether or not he abused his powers as president or he did not abuse his powers as president. So because of the position he held during most of those years when certain things are alleged to have happened, it's important that the Commission gets an opportunity to question him and get answers from him on various matters. And you will also remember that when you look at the terms of reference of the Commission, he is one of the persons who are specifically mentioned as persons whose conduct this Commission must investigate. You go to the terms of reference, you will see there is a number of references to him, as well as to the Guptas, and so that's why it's very important, because of the position he held, because of the allegations that he played certain roles in regard to certain matters. Thank you. With regard to the victims of state capture, I guess that when one talks about the victims of state capture and corruption, one would be talking to a very large extent about the public of South Africa. We intend to give the public or some public organizations an opportunity to make representations on some of the matters, or what kind of recommendations the Commission should make with regard to various matters. Let me mention, for example, that we think, or certainly I think, that if we are going to stand any chance of making a serious dent on corruption in this country, and if we want to make sure that, to the extent that there may have been state capture in this country, that it doesn't happen again, it's going to be critically important that we have a very good dispensation of protection for whistleblowers, so that anyone who gets involved in corruption must know that people who want to blow the whistle will be able to blow the whistle because they know that they have proper protection. It's also going to be very important that we look at the issue of parliamentary oversight and say, does our parliament have enough oversight mechanisms to make sure that their oversight over the executive is such that levels of corruption in this country can be brought down, are such that in the future, if there were attempts at state capture, they would be able to prevent that by the way in which they exercise their oversight functions. So one will need to look at that, and one will need to look at our tender system. What is it with our tender system that makes it so easy for people to engage in the kind of corruption that they engage in? What are the loose ends that need to be tied? Or what measures should be put in place to make it more difficult for people to engage in corruption? Because a lot of corruption that we have in South Africa is connected with tenders. So we look at that in the Commission as well, because we would like to make sure that when it comes to the report, we have got something that reveals that we have looked at that, and if we have got recommendations, indicate what recommendations we have as to how it should be tightened, or what measures should be taken to try and minimize the chances that people will engage in corruption through tenders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Haupalele sent her question. Haupalele is from Jacaranda FM News. She's asking if the Commission has abandoned the testimony of the Guptas. She says they had earlier requested to appear via video link. Is their testimony not central to the Commission? That is the question from Haupalele DCJ. And then there's another last one from Athol. This one, DCJ. Athol asked, before you go back to the other people, Athol is from Daily Maverick. When will the SARS work stream come to the Commission? That's from Athol Williams. When will the SARS stream come to the Commission? Over to you, DCJ.
Let me start with the SARS work stream. Dates have not been fixed yet, but that's one of the things that are on my desk. So dates will be determined soon as to when SARS evidence will be presented, or evidence relating to SARS will be presented. It was to have been presented a few weeks ago, but it wasn't presented because, or some of it was not presented because the relevant evidence leader fell sick. But of course, some of it was presented. With regard to the Guptas, at this stage, I don't expect that the Guptas will come back to South Africa. Certainly, I don't think they will do so while the Commission is going on. Although it would have been good to have the evidence of the Guptas, I said some time back, I said that the evidence that the Commission will have is likely to be evidence that will make sure that the report will be very credible without their evidence. In this regard, I want to refer to the fact that, as some of you would have seen, a few weeks ago, the Commission had evidence relating to money flows. Mr. Peter Holden gave extensive evidence over a number of days showing how money that came from SOEs in the country, one of them being Transnet, took a journey into various entities connected with the Guptas, and ultimately where that money ended. That is very strong evidence of the involvement of certain entities. So I think that that evidence, apart from any other evidence, is going to be very critical in showing which entities actually got involved in getting money that came from SOEs under transactions that are alleged to have been corruptly concluded or irregularly concluded. So I think that in the end, the evidence that will have been led in the Commission will reveal that the evidence was credible and that it's evidence that can be relied upon. So the fact that the Guptas didn't come to South Africa to give evidence, I don't think in the end will affect the credibility of the report of the Commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, TCJ. Mshengo, will you please pose your question to the Chairperson of the Commission? Mshengo?
Thank you very much, Rev. Thanks to you too, Tiani. Nembuzo jemitatu baba.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Tiani, you spoke of the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, having to appear in Feb in a date yet to be determined. Umbuzo wami uthi, with regards to which allegations against him is he appearing? Is it with regard to the recent implication by Machela Koko? Is it with regards to his implication as it relates to Bosasa? Is it with regards to his implication as it relates to the PRASA testimony about the ANC topsets that failed to intervene in the issues that were prevailing at PRASA? That's question number one. Number two, on money flows, banks in particular, one would imagine that as it relates to Imali, the banks would be compelled as well to come, because these monies don't just flow in the air. They are wired, they move within the banking system. Number two, on the banks, how far is the process, Mtiane, of the subpoenas that you issued with regards to the bank records, in particular of former President Zuma and some of his family members and others that may have been subpoenaed in terms of their bank records? Members of the executive during the time with which state capture is alleged to have happened, have you considered the calls by some quarters that it would be incomplete for you not to call all the members of the executive to get the full picture of exactly how the executive was run during the time in which state capture is alleged to have happened? Thank you very much, Mtiani.
Okay, thank you. Well, with regard to President Ramaphosa, I've said before, and I recently said in another interview, that I asked him already in 2018, before the end of 2018, that I had a meeting with him, and I said that the work of the Commission would not be complete without him or the government or the executive coming to the Commission to give evidence. First and foremost, that's what I'm talking about. And that relates to the fact that he was part of the executive during a lot of time, or some of the years, when some of the things that the Commission is looking into are alleged to have happened. And he was deputy president of the country. And during other years he was not deputy president of the country, but was deputy president of the ANC, the ruling party. So the idea was to establish what he may have known, what the executive may have known about what was happening, and so that they can tell us, he can tell us what he knew, what happened, and what challenges, if any, they were there. But basically, it's what he knows in terms of what has happened, as revealed in the commission in regard to various matters. The legal team will work out the details of some of the things that he may have to deal with. But broadly speaking, it's about what he may have known during the time that he was deputy president in regard to various matters. And that includes the executive. Now, with regard to cabinet ministers, past and present, we have not abandoned the idea of getting affidavits from them. But I certainly think that, or had expected originally, that more ministers would have come forward than those who have actually come forward to share with the information what they know about what happened. Unfortunately, the numbers of those who have come forward or who have made affidavits or who have testified is quite a small number. Many ministers or past ministers have not come forward on their own, which is regrettable, because I do believe that there must be many more who know things that fall within the terms of reference that happened and who should have come forward to share that with us. So we might get some, but I am not very hopeful, because they've had about 2.5 years to come forward, and those who have not come forward have not come forward. We appreciate the fact that some did come forward and have assisted the commission a great deal. That's about the cabinet and President Ramaphosa. About the banks have been, the legal team and the investigation team has been interacting with the banks since I think the commission started. And the banks have, whenever they have been issued with summonses to make certain information available, have made information available to the commission. So that has been work that has been ongoing. I am not aware of any bank that has refused to give the commission any information that the commission has asked for. So I think that information from the banks, there's a lot of information that the banks have given to the commission, which has been made use of. Some of it might not have come to public hearings.
We are going to break away from that briefing by the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo on the work of the state capture inquiry. It's been a briefing rich in figures, hasn't it? 1 billion gigabytes of corruption data gathered. More funding is going to be needed, but not a lot.
Maybe we can say
it has cost the South African taxpayer
we'll go on for another
so far.
5 to 10 minutes before we finish.
Briefing.
Okay,
the news
all
continues at 1 o'clock. This is ENCA.
Thank you, Reverend, and through you to the Deputy Chief Justice. We've seen Ms. Dudu Mjeni before the Commission basically saying that she couldn't answer questions because of fear of implicating herself. At the same time, we've seen the former President, Mr. Zuma, before the self-same Commission, basically not answering many questions. What happens if a witness does not use the opportunity to answer questions, and how will you counter the attack which is sure to come, that you will make findings in such cases without having heard the side of those who choose to keep quiet in that manner? Well,
there cannot be any attack that the Commission has not given anybody an opportunity to put their side of the story, where the Commission has given them the opportunity, but they have elected for their own reasons not to exercise that, not to use that opportunity. So the Commission can't be criticized in those circumstances. Where the Commission would be criticized is if it did not afford people an opportunity to be heard, and then it made findings without affording them that opportunity. So that would be the position. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tshiji. Let's squeeze in the last hand from Samkele. Samkele, are you there? Samkele, your line is bad. Can you try to move a bit? Your line is bad. We can't hear you.
Date that has been set when the president of the country, Maposa, will be making.
Just start afresh. Just start afresh, Samgelo. Just start afresh. We didn't hear the first part of your question. Hello, Samgelo? Samgelo? I think I don't know if anybody had the question, because if somebody can tell me, I can answer it.
Let me just check on the messages here. If maybe you had sent a message quickly to CJ. Because his line is bad, we can't hear. No, DCJ.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now, Samgelo. Continue. Yes, thank you.
Yes, DCJ, just a quick question. Why has there been no exact date set for President Cyril Ramaphosa to appear before the Commission? We do see that there is an estimate of between February and January that he may appear before the Commission. But why is there no exact date of when the President will appear? And then
I hope I heard the question. I think you are asking why there is no exact date for President Ramaphosa, when President Ramaphosa will appear before the Commission. If that is the question, the date hasn't been determined, but as things stand, it is likely to be in March. But he's not the only one. There are many other people whose dates have not yet been determined.
Thank you very much.
So in other words, dates, various things have to be taken into account before I determine dates, and as soon as everything is in front of me, then I determine dates. So as things stand, it's likely to be in March.
Thank you very much, CCJ, for the opportunity of engaging members of the media. And we have come to the end of the session. And thank you to the members of the media who participated in this session.
Members of the media, I thank you very much for attending.